How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the video. This is the third and final video in this series of building a website from scratch with HTML and CSS. In this video, we are going to continue where we left off last video and build out the rest of the homepage. So if you recall, last video, we were able to finish up the navbar and we added this main picture here. In this video, we're going to build out the bottom of this homepage here. So this is what the website we are building looks like. And as you can see, there's still a bunch of content that we need to add. So let's start with this section here. So in my text editor, I'm going to open up index.html and style.css. In the index.html, I'm going to go to our body div, and right underneath this image is where we're going to add the content. So first thing we need is this title, the coffee grinder. I'm going to copy that and put that inside an h1 tag. Next, we're going to grab this text underneath it, copy that, and put that inside an h3 tag. Next, we see that there's a line here, and we can do a line in HTML with the hr tag. Perfect. And we're going to do a p tag for this paragraph here. And we're going to do one more p tag for this mini paragraph. Okay, that does it for this. Now in the CSS, we'll go down to the bottom. So first thing we're going to do is style this h1 tag. We can grab that with .body, because that's the div class up here, and h1. Now we're going to do a couple things to this. First, we're going to change the color to white, and we are going to change the font size a little bigger to 35 pixels. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Next, we're going to jump down to this h3. We're going to call that body h3. We're going to change the color to this gold here. And we are going to change the font size to 15 pixels. There we go. Next, let's style this line. Back here, I'm going to give this a class of hr-1. We can grab that here in CSS. And we're going to do three styles to that. First, we're going to change the border color to the same color as this. We're going to make it a little smaller, and we're going to give some padding. So first, let's give it a border color of this gold. Let's give it a width of 20%, and let's give it a margin of -5 pixels, so it goes up a little bit, 0 pixels, 40 pixels from the bottom, and 0 from the left. So remember, margin is top, right, bottom, left. Let's take a look at that. Alright, it's looking pretty good. But what we're going to do is up here, we want to give some padding to this. So I'm going to add .body h1, comma, .body h3. So grab both of those. And we are going to text transform that to uppercase. And we are going to give it a margin of 20 pixels on the top and bottom, and 0 pixels on the left and right. There we go. Now the next thing we're going to do is, see how this goes all the way to the left? We don't really want that. So we're going to add a container around that. It's back in our code. We'll say right here, we'll add another div with body dash container. And we will copy all of this, cut that out, and paste that inside here. And then we will come over here, and right underneath body, we'll add .body container, and give it a width of 90%. So it only takes up 90%. See, it's now stopped over here. And we will give it a margin of auto so we can center that. There we go. That's looking a lot better. So the next thing we need to look at is this body text here. So back here we can say .body p to grab the p tags in the body, and we are going to say color, and we want that to be B5, B3, B3, and we're going to say line height. We're going to give that 30 pixels, and we're going to say padding bottom. We're going to give that 20 pixels. Now let's look at what that did. There we go. That's looking a lot better now. All right, now let's take a look at the original website. So we got this. Now we have this image here and these two images. So to do that, back in our code, so inside this body container, we're going to add an image tag, and we'll say /assets images, and that image I believe is this one here. There we go, perfect. Make sure, yep, that's the right one. Give that an alt tag. We say ocean picture. We'll give that a class of body pick 1. That should do it. Now over here in the CSS, we can call that body pick 1. We're going to give that a width of 40%. We want it a little smaller. We're going to give it a height of auto, so we can keep the dimensions correct. And we'll give it a margin bottom of 100 pixels to give it some space. And alright, that's looking really good. Alright, back in our HTML, next thing we need to do is these two images here. So for that, let's make another div. We'll give it a class image row. Then we're going to do a class left and a class right for each of the pictures. So we'll say left and right. And then inside each of these divs, we'll add the image. So the SRC of the first one is /assets/images, and that is the cup. We'll name this cup of coffee. And then the second one is /assets/images. Oops, not that one. /counter. There we go. And then this one we'll say cup of coffee on counter. Let's make sure those images are there. They are indeed. Perfect. Now let's give them classes. We'll say image 1 and image 2. Simple enough. Okay, so now in the CSS, we are going to style those pictures. So first, we're going to say .image row, and we're going to use CSS grid to display them next to each other. So we're going to say display grid. We're going to say grid template columns. We're going to say repeat. There are going to be 2 of them, both 50%. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is define the container for these 2 images here. So we're going to grab the class image row, and we're going to display that as a grid. This will allow us to do grid template columns and say repeat. We'll say 2 because there are 2 columns and 50%. So each of the columns is half of the page. Now we can grab each of the images, image 1 and image 2, and we can say height is 700 pixels for each of them. And we're going to say object fit is cover and width 100. There we go. Now this one looks good. Now for the second object, we're going to say object fit is cover again, and again width is 100%. Alright, that looks pretty good. So next up we have this section right here. So it looks like we have our coffee with an HR and a paragraph. So we're going to copy this, and back here, outside of the body container, So outside of this here, I'm going to make another class. We're going to call this parallax. There we go, that will be a div. And then we're going to create another div inside, parallax text. And then in here, we will make an h2 tag with our coffee. Next, we'll make a line. We'll give this a class of hr2. And finally, we will do a paragraph tag and copy this paragraph. And you can see that HTML is coming through. Now time to style. First, we're going to grab the parallax section. And if you come back here, you'll notice there is a background image. So we can define that in the CSS. We'll say background image URL, and that will be /assets/images/parallax. Find that. Here it is. Next, we'll define a height of 500 pixels. Now, if you go back here, we look at the background attachment. We want this to be centered, right? So we're going to say background attachment fixed. We're going to say background position will be center, and background repeat is no repeat. Finally, background size is cover, and that should center this image and make it nice. Finally, we're going to say text align center, so we can align that text to the center. There we go. Next, we're going to style the line, so we're going to say .hr2, that's the line class. We're going to give it a border color of this gold here. We're going to give it a width of 20%, similar to the first line, and we're going to give it a margin of auto so we can center it. And those are not coming through. Let's see. Here we go. -2, not equals. And there we go. Now we're going to style the h2 and the p. So we're going to say .parallax h2, parallax p. We're going to give them a color of white. We're going to give them a text transform of uppercase, make them all capital. We're going to give it a width of 80%. Give it a margin auto, so we can center that. And we'll say padding 10 pixels. Alright, that's looking a little better. Next, we're going to style just the h2 tag. We're going to make it a little bigger and give some padding on the top. So we'll say .parallax h2. We'll say padding top, give it 175 pixels. Alright, that puts it in the center. And then we'll say font size 40 pixels, make it a little bigger. Okay, that's looking really good now. And you'll see as we scroll, the picture kind of stays in place, which is really nice. Alright, back here, you'll see two more sections. We have this section right here. Again, we have a left and a right. And looks like we have a hourly table here. So we can use the HTML table for this. And you can see here the image doesn't quite go down all the way. We can fix that easily in ours. Okay, back in the HTML, below the parallax, do another div. We'll give this a class of hours row. And we'll give it a class of left and a class of right, similar to the images above. Now, the left, we'll give it an h3 tag, and we'll say winter hours. There we go. And the right simply has an image. So we'll say image, give an src of assets, assets images, slash, that is is stock. Here it is. Perfect, there we go. An alt of, say, doc. and that will need a class. We'll give that a class of image table. Now back up here in the left column for our table, we can define a HTML table. We can give that a class of hours table, and let's fill out the table. So remember, we have a table row and then a TD tag. So we can say Monday, and then we can say TD, and then we'll have the hours. We can wrap the hours in I tag, get those italicized. And the first one is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we'll say 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Let's take a look at that. All right, there we go. And we're going to add this for each day of the week. All right, there we go. So I did that for each day of the week, as you can see. And this is what we get. And last but not least, we notice there's another HR there. So we can add that right underneath the table. We'll say HR, and we'll give it a class of line under table. Now we can start styling. So the first thing that we're going to do is grab the hours table, and we can give this a color of hashtag B5, B3, B3. Perfect. Next, we're going to get the hours row. And say background color. We're going to go RGB. Oops. RGB. We're going to say 36, 41, and 45. Next, we're going to style the image here. So we're going to say dot image table, grab the class. We're going to give it a height of 500 pixels. We're going to say object fit cover. And we're going to give it a width of 100%. So it takes up the entire right column. And now, let's go back here. Say we have hours row. So we can do that similarly to the image row. We'll say dot hours row, and that's going to be the same thing. So I'm going to paste in the same thing as we did above for the image row, and I'm going to add one thing, which is the background color. We'll just say RGB, and we'll do the same 36, 41, 45. Now, that's looking pretty good. All right, now we're going to style the left. All right, so now let's grab this left H3, style that. Say dot left H3, say font size. You can say 25 pixels. There we go. And then we'll say line under table, so that HR. Give that a border color of this gold, like we've been doing, and give it a width of 30%. There we go. Next, we're going to style the actual table. So we'll say dot hours table, TRTD, so we can access that TD element. We'll say padding 15 pixels. We'll go text align left. And let's grab this left here, this left tag, and we'll say margin auto so we can center that. There we go. That's looking a little better now. And maybe in this H3 we can say text align center. There we go. Now that's looking pretty good. And let's make this line just a little bigger. So instead of 30%, maybe we'll say 40%. Alright, that looks good. So the last section is this footer. So it looks like we have 3 parts here. Maybe a little 3-column layout here. Some font awesomes. So let's do it. Back in the HTML, still inside the body class, we'll declare a semantic tag footer. Inside here, we'll give a div for the logo container. Right here, we'll say dot logo container. Perfect. Inside here will be the logo. So assets, images, logo. Give it a class footer logo. And we'll also add this H2 here, which is the title of the store. So we'll say H2 coffee grinder. And below this div here, we'll put yet another HR with the class footer HR. Now below that, we'll do a table for this. So let's give this table a class. We'll say footer table. And we're going to have 3 TR tags. Inside of them, we're going to have 3 TD tags with all of this stuff here. The FA, email, this, and that for all of them. So we'll say email, TD call, TD visit. That'll be a placeholder for this FA. And then we'll do the same thing for the actual text in this one. And then down here, we will put the email, the number, and this. Awesome, there we go. Below that, we have another line. That will be the same line as this. As you can see, it's the same styling. And then down here, we have a little copyright sign and some FAs, which are the same as these. So we can say P tag, then we'll do the small tag, which makes the writing smaller, and we'll say and copy, which gives us the copy sign. There we go, copyright. And we'll write the text, so copyright 1997 to 2020. Then after that, we'll have a div with class social icons footer. And inside there, we're going to have the same stuff as we did up here. So I'm going to copy this and paste that down here. And if we go back to our site, scroll to the bottom, there we go. We have everything we need. We just need to style it like this. So the first thing I'm going to do, now we're in the footer, is grab the footer tag, and we're going to change the background color. We're going to say background color is equal to this right here. Okay. And then I'm going to give it a width of 90% and center that with margin auto. There we go. Now we gotta work on this logo. So I can say dot footer logo with 100 pixels, height, auto. There we go. Next, let's style this H2, footer H2. Give it a color of white. That should be all we need to do for styling there. Don't need a dot because it's not a class. There we go. Beneath that, we're going to style the footer HR. So dot footer HR is the class name. We'll give it a border color of RGBA. Say 211, 211, 211, and 0.2. There we go. Give it a margin of 40 pixels and 0, so 40 top and bottom, 0 left and right. All right, that's looking good. So we need to now take this and center it and put these next to each other. So we can grab the class that contains that, which is logo container. We can say display flex. Now they are next to each other. We can say justify content center. Say display. And we will say margin top 50 pixels. So that looks good. Now we just have to get this down a little bit. So for that, we're going to say dot footer h2. In this class, we need to add to the footer. So we'll say class footer h2. We're going to say text transform uppercase. And we're going to give some padding, so we can try to center that. So we'll say 40 pixels from the top, 0 from the right, 0 bottom, 10 from the left. There we go. Now that looks really good. For the social icons, we can say dot social icons footer. We're going to text align them to the right. And we are going to say margin top. We're going to give it negative 50 pixels so we can get it up from here a little bit. And then we can grab the individual icons by saying dot social icons footer ULLI list style type. List style type is none. We're going to say float left. That should put them next to each other. There we go. We're going to say padding 0 top, 10 pixels right, 0 bottom, 5 pixels left, and font size, say 20 pixels. Okay. And we need to add display inline block to this UL here. So we're going to go there, and we'll say display inline block. And that should fix that. There we go. And let's change this margin top negative 50 to margin bottom 50 so we can get rid of that white space there. Okay, now for the footer table. Let's grab that with our class. First, we're going to color it. We'll say white. Next, we're going to text align center. And we need to center the table with margin auto. Okay, that looks good. And let's grab the TD tag with footer table, TRTD, and we can give it a padding of 2% for the top and bottom, and 5% for the left and right. Space that out a little bit. If you go back to the original, you see that not all the text is white. The last row is actually this kind of lighter color. So for that, come back to the table, and we can give this TR here, give it a class of third for the third row, and then back to the CSS, we'll say dot third TD, so we can grab all the TD tags in that third row, and we'll say color, give it a color of hashtag 747474. Alright. There we go. It's looking better. So that is it for this video. This is our finished site. Built out the nav bar here. We have the top section. We have the images scaled nicely. Nice layout, good color. We have some CSS grid. Some tables. And finally the footer. Again, for reference, here's the original. It's looking pretty good. So if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.